think we are live. All right. Welcome everybody to the new show. This is the Watchman Hour with your host, Angel The Hopeful Patriot, here on X. And we're also streaming to YouTube and a couple of channels. So I wanted to start a new show to kind of give you guys a different perspective on certain things. You know, always trying to do the best thing to illuminate people's minds about what's really going on. A lot of you folks probably that do follow me, you guys are all thinking the same, but there's definitely a lot of people out there that need to know the truth of what's actually happening. And as a believer, I find it super important that we talk about things from a biblical perspective, and especially as things that are going on around the world and how things are really changing, how rapidly they're changing, and what, in my opinion, appears to be like let's just say evil or darkness has been kind of unleashed and been let loose to run rampant. And as we get closer to what I think is the end, things are going to get worse. Hopefully they get better. Hopefully we have some revival or something. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I want to make sure that as we who know the truth are being enlightened with more truth, and as things are become, let's just say, much more known to us, it's important for us to kind of share that and make sure that people are fully aware of what's going on, right? In Ezekiel, in the book of Ezekiel, right, the Lord kind of is talking to Ezekiel and he's like, look, you're like a watchman, right? Let's say there's an old fortress or a city or something, and you're the one that's supposed to be keeping watch. And if you see danger, if you spot danger, and if you don't say anything, then you basically, the blood, right? If your city gets overtaken, right, the blood of those people that get killed is on your hands. But if you say something, right, you warn the people and say, hey man, danger's coming, the enemy's about to attack us, or whatever it is, and they decide not to do anything, they decide not to flee, then you get overrun and these people die, then their blood is not on your hands because you warned the people. Right. And so that's basically what I feel is my calling, is to be warning people about what's happening and about what's coming. So, and also more importantly, to give people hope. There's a reason why I call myself the Hopeful Patriot, because no matter how dark things get, no matter how bad things get, we have our hope, right? We have hope that things are going to get better. And if they don't get better, we know that God's going to see us through whatever storms, trials, tribulations, valleys, whatever we're going through. And so I take that calling seriously, and hence why we're doing this show, so that you guys can be informed and know what's going on. So I have a few things that I want to go through. I'm going to, try to do this consistently. Eventually, the hope is to get to doing this daily. But I'm going to start with just some things that are important to me, and we'll kind of go through the trial run over the next few shows, and we'll see how it goes. But first and foremost, going to talk about the market, see how things are going for you folks out there that are interested in this stuff. Just to give you guys a little bit about me, I've been in the financial services industry for over 20 years, primarily in mortgage real estate finance, and then got into blockchain and crypto technology about 3.5 years ago. But I've been in tech and fintech, developing software, not as a developer, but as a product and project manager, program manager. So I love technology, I love finance, and yeah, and I'm a patriot. So that's what we're doing here. So let's jump into the charts first, and then we'll get into some stories. So going to CoinMarketCap, you can see right now Bitcoin's hovering around 56,550. We're up about 4% over the last day. We were down significantly. We were down to like 52, 51 even, I think I saw. Ethereum's at 2,300. Jumping down. Solana 132. XRP is at 53. Screw Solana. We'll get into that maybe later in another show. And our Cardano is down to 34 cents. Cardano, we are going to talk a little bit about that with the recent Chang hard fork and what that means. Toncoin's at $5 right now. So overall, the market's bouncing back a little bit today. Doge is up 8.64%. Currently at 10 cents. And so yeah, it looks like we have hope that the market's going to turn around. We know going into 2025, we are going to be hopefully getting back into our bull market and the new all-time highs and the whole deal. Fear and greed index hovering right now at 41%, or at 41. We were down, I think, to like 26, 27, 28. So it was a perfect time to buy over the last few days, last week or so. But yeah, that's what's going on. So yeah, talking about Cardano, you guys know that Cardano is, move this out of the way here, just went through their Chang hard fork. We are now, I would say, the largest truly decentralized governance, blockchain, essentially handing over the keys to the kingdom to the holders of ADA. And now we are the ones that are going to be driving the innovation, driving the roadmap forward, with some, oversight, with the Constitutional Committee, as we're right now currently going through writing out the Constitution of Cardano, right? A Constitution for the world in the digital space. So it's pretty amazing what we've been able to accomplish over the last 10 years. And there's a lot of good stuff coming, but there's always the trepidation when you hand over things to the mob. The mob can do stupid things, right? You got your Bodie McBoatfaces of the world, right? When you let people decide, they might do some stupid things like trying to burn the treasury. We got 1.5 billion ADA sitting in the treasury, around $600 to $700 million worth of ADA sitting there. And we're the ones who are going to get to decide what to spend that money on and what projects we want to take on and what kind of marketing we want to do and so on and so forth. So it's pretty amazing that we have the ability to shape the future, right? As it says here, right? With the Chang upgrade now live, ADA token holders will be able to shape Cardano's future by electing governance representatives and voting on development proposals. I myself am a DREP, a delegated representative. So if you want to stake your ADA, let's say you don't want to keep up with everything that's going on and you want to give your voting authority to someone else, you can assign or delegate your voting power to a delegated representative, what we call DREPs. So if you guys want to transact with me, or excuse me, you guys want to delegate to me so that I can represent you and your interests, I would gladly take your data, no worries. And obviously you still maintain all control of your ADA. It's just really giving the voting power over. So pretty amazing what we're doing right now. So we're going through the Constitutional Committee, the interim Constitutional Committee. Eventually, others will get voted in. You have your delegate representatives, and then you have your stake pool operators that are, also in charge of making sure that the code and the blockchain, the network is being updated. So it's pretty amazing what we're kind of the new phase that we're in. The fact that this has been now given over to the, to the community, really to all of us as investors and supporters of the project. So pretty amazing what's like happened now. And now it's the future of what the roadmap looks like. It could be very, very different from what it started out as. And hopefully we're going to make the right choices. We're going to make the right decisions, and we're going to make this thing even better. And, with the authority now given to us to manage the treasury, right, with some controls and so on and so forth. But you're going to be able to vote. Let's say you want to put more money into marketing. You want to put more money into, hey, making cool content, educational content, or whatever it is. We can, submit proposals, and then the community will be able to vote on them, and we'll be able to hopefully implement and drive the users, right? Drive the adoption and for the users, because I'm a firm believer that if you build it, they will come. And so now that we're in this phase, we really need to help support the applications, the dApps that are building, the protocols and the platforms that are building on Cardano. And more importantly too, like what we want to do is implement the interoperability and what's going on with Hydra and the fast throughput and everything else. The sidechain model and everything else, all that is going to drive more adoption, because we're going to be able to integrate with a lot of other blockchains, which is, I think personally what the future is all about is interoperability. Whoever solves true interoperability, they're the ones that are really going to make it. And I do truly believe that the future is multi-chain. We can't just be so siloed and, be so dogmatic and about our coin or our blockchain, the Bitcoiners of the world that say, it's only Bitcoin and everything else is a shit coin or whatever it is. I don't believe that's the case. Like I said, I've been in technology, so technology is evolving all the time. And to think that you build something and it's going to last forever, there is maybe some credence to that from a Bitcoin perspective as far as the store of value goes. But, all the other things that we want to do, it doesn't necessarily have to be Bitcoin. It could be something else. And I think Cardano is definitely at the forefront of that. And so, being a technologist, I just feel that that is the right approach. I don't think we should be so, myopic in our thinking, right? We should be willing to really be thinking about more broadly how other technology and other innovations could be implemented so that we can make it better. Building software for many, many years, you were never done, right? There was never a point where you said, man, this thing is perfect. I never have to do anything else. There's nothing else that needs to be done to it. No, there's always something, right? There's always some kind of improvement that could be made, some other refinement. So why is that different with blockchain technology? So anyways, that's my personal opinion. You don't have to believe that, but that's what I believe in. So that's all good. So anyways, Cardano's Chain Hard Fork is live. We are now I would say the biggest decentralized platform. And yeah, it's pretty amazing. So looking at the market as well, I've been in mortgage real estate. The 30-year mortgage rates right now are hovering around the 5.5 mark, give or take. If you're purchasing, definitely in the low sixes, which, considering we were in the 8s and 9s at one point, it's pretty good. For refinance, you can get rates as low as 5.25, 5.125. So that's definitely some things to consider. The next Fed meeting is September 18th. And, with the inflation, numbers still being pretty high, and the fact that obviously unemployment is still pretty high compared to where we were a year ago. It's definitely climbing, as well as the job numbers aren't doing so good. I think the job numbers that came out last month, we were at 142,000 new jobs as of Friday's job numbers. I have a feeling that these numbers will be revised, just like the last several months of job numbers have been revised. So I don't believe anything that they put out initially. They're always going to come back and they are revising numbers downward. And so I think this is going to be a big reason why the Fed's going to need to do a bigger rate cut. Right now, the debate is whether it's 25 or 50 basis points. And I do believe we'll probably get 50. But you never know. I think they may not want to do it too fast. But with the job numbers, and just so you guys know, most of these jobs are government jobs. They're not, manufacturing jobs. They're not farm jobs. They're not tech jobs or anything like that. Most of it is government jobs. So the government seems to be the only one really employing a lot of people or new people. And, I recently got laid off from my job. So I can tell you from personal experience that, times are tough and there are a lot of companies laying people off. So right now it's looking about 73% for a 50 or 500 basis points. Or 50 basis points, right? Getting back to that number. So yeah, I think we will get a good rate cut, possibly more than one. I think for a while they were thinking maybe it might only be one this year, but who knows? We could see 4, right? We could see over the next leading into December, especially with the election coming. It could be that we're going to need to do something to stimulate the economy, because right now the Democrats are not looking too favored because of the economy, right? There's a lot of people that are really struggling, and there's a lot of reasons why, and I won't get into all that, but we'll get into some of the reasons why. But definitely, the rates, people being able to borrow, and people getting into debt and everything is going to definitely make a big impact, because right now there's a lot of people that have really low, primary, first mortgages, and they don't want to refinance. They don't want to, all of a sudden jump from a 3% interest rate to, 5.5 or 6. So lowering the rate so they can, be able to borrow money, or maybe get a second, or maybe get a home equity line of credit, whatever it is. That's definitely, probably going to help people out, because there's a lot of people, if you look at the rates of credit card debt, it's going up, and maybe we'll get into that here in the next one of the next shows. All right, let's jump into one of our first stories. And most of these stories are all going to come from X, because that is the best place to get your news. If you don't know, it's funny how you get stuff, being shown or being posted, being reported on X, and 2-3 days later, it's now finally on the mainstream media or whatever. So if it shows up at all. But I wanted to show this one. Excuse me here. So President Trump posted a warning to those looking to cheat in the 2024 election. I thought it was kind of funny because if you read between the lines, I mean, he's really just kind of putting people on notice. So it's a cease and desist. I, together with the many attorneys and legal scholars, am watching the sanctity of the 2024 presidential election very closely because I know better than most the rampant cheating and skullduggery. I love that. I love that word that has taken place by the Democrats in the 2020 presidential election. It was a disgrace to our nation. Therefore, the 2024 election, where votes have just started being cast, will be under the closest professional scrutiny. And when I win, those people that cheated will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentences so that this depravity of justice does not happen again. We cannot let our country further devolve into a third world nation, and we won't. Please beware that this legal exposure extends to lawyers, political operatives, donors, illegal voters, and corrupt election officials. Those involved in unscrupulous behavior will be sought out, caught, and prosecuted at levels unfortunately never seen before in our country. This was posted on the 7th. So it's actually gotten a lot more traction over the last few days. And, he's pretty much telling people, hey, if you guys are going to cheat this time, we're not going to let it happen. We're going to go after you. And, that's the only way that these Democrats are able to really win is by cheating. And unfortunately, that's kind of where we're at in this cycle of our country's life cycle. So it's very sad to think that this is kind of where we've gotten to, where we're having to blatantly call out the fact that these people are cheating, and the evidence is there. And I'm not going to go in through all that. I think anyone who's really paying attention, who wants to really see the truth, knows that they cheated. There's a reason why they were putting up poster boards and trying to block people from watching what the pollsters were doing. Or what the counters were doing. So, anyways. Thought that was funny. Next week we have the debate, on Thursday I believe the debate is happening. So I wanted to kind of play a little bit of this of what Vivek was saying, because I truly believe
one thing I want to caution against, Sean, is exactly what happened in June. What I expect is that Donald Trump will once again run circles around Kamala Harris, just as he did with Joe Biden in that last debate. The question is that going to be good for us in winning this election or not? Because last time around, it was the catalyst for something drastic happening afterwards, which was in that case swapping out Joe Biden as the nominee. And I think if Kamala Harris really does tank in this debate, and I think there's a decent chance that happens, I think there are strange things that could happen between now and November, because the Democrats, they have been playing this as, in some ways, one step ahead.
You're suggesting that we may live through another change in candidates if she didn't have a good debate?
No, I don't think it's going to be a change in the candidates. The ballots have already been printed. But I do think that we have a machine that we're up against that has demonstrated that it is going to go to great measures to defeat Donald Trump. You trace this back over the last year and a half. You've got prosecutions. You've got civil cases. You've got extrajudicial attempts to remove him from the ballot. They told us Joe Biden was definitively going to be the nominee, then negotiated for the earliest ever presidential debate in U.S. history because they knew there was a good chance Biden would underperform. Once he did, they swapped him out. I think we've got to learn from those lessons, Sean, to say that they're still going to have many more tricks up their sleeve. So the two scenarios are either Kamala Harris overperforms. I don't expect that to happen. Or what I do expect to happen is Donald Trump to seriously.
So, that's pretty much it. I think, he's saying, if she loses the debate, which is highly likely, she is kind of an imbecile. If you really hear her talk, she has really no substance. She doesn't really know her policies. She has no policies, really, other than just copying, some of the stuff that Trump has said or other things, right, like no tax on tips and things like that. But, he's probably going to wipe the floor with her, and they're going to be scrambling. And so they're going to be up against their heels, and their backs will be up against the wall, and they're going to have to do something. So who knows? Who knows what they'll do? Now, one thing that was very positive that happened this past week, was that Donald Trump's sentencing was moved to November, right? So I was actually very, very surprised by that. And I think they understood that, man, if they do this now, if they do try to lock him up before the election, like it would have probably, caused a lot more problems. And honestly, I think would have just definitely secured him the win. So, but I think Vivek has a good take on this, right? Where they're going to be scrambling and they're going to probably get very desperate. You know how it is, like a wounded animal when they're suffering and they'll lash out and attack anyone who gets near them, right? Because they're afraid. And so I think that's definitely something that's going to happen. So we have to just be very careful and just be mindful of what's going on, right? And, Kamala is, man, when I hear her talk, it just hurts my voice. Like, it hurts my head. It hurts my ears. The cackling is just ridiculous. Let's not get into that. We will maybe we'll laugh about some of these things here in the future in a little bit. But Benny Johnson posted this. If you guys don't know, let me jump move to another story here. There's been a lot of stuff going on with the migrants and the orchestrated invasion happening at their southern border, and a lot of people coming over. We saw a few weeks ago, and even still happening now in Aurora, Colorado, right? The Venezuelan gangs that are taking over. I'm going to show you guys a couple videos about how now it's also happening in Chicago, and now also in Ohio. We have this huge, population of Haitian, refugees, migrants, whatever you want to call it, that were moved in. Basically, took over the community, like put like 50,000 Haitians in a small community of like 80,000 people or something like that. So all of a sudden, there's just this massive amount of Haitians. So here's Kamala Harris talking about how she wants to
That is why, also, starting with our administration, we gave TPS, temporary protected status, to Haitian migrants, 55,000. And then more recently, we extended temporary protected status to over 100,000 Haitian migrants for that very reason, that they need support, they need protection. That is why, also, starting with our administration, we gave TPS, temporary protected status, to Haitian migrants, 55,000. And then more recently, we extended.
So that's it, right? So she's over here talking about she's sent all these people over here and they're going to give these people protection and support, blah, 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 whatever they're saying. But now look at what's going on, right? I don't know if you guys know, and let me jump to the crazy part about the Haitians. I think, is it right here? Oh, dang, I just messed up. I didn't want to get rid of that one. These people have started to, cook cats and bring over, and here it is right here. So, man, obviously you have residents talking about how these Haitian migrants are sitting on, sleeping on their lawns and over here pooping and everything else. But this is the stuff that's kind of crazy, man. You got people eating ducks and pets, cats and stuff like that. I saw this one video where this lady, which I think is the one I just exited out of, this lady the cop pulls up on her and she's eating a cat, like right there in front of the police. Like, it's pretty crazy to see. And I was just kind of thrown back. Like, is this really happening? Like, is this serious? And sure enough, yep, it's serious. And, Eva Vladingerbrook, which I love her. She's amazing. But she's talking about, hey, people seen reports about Haitians stealing and eating people's pet cats in Ohio. As per usual, we here in Europe are way ahead of you guys when it comes to this stuff happening. And when you let the third world in. So here's this migrant roasting up a cat in Italy back in 2020. I remember seeing this. It's what it reminded me of. I was like, oh my God, this is seriously happening. And, this stuff is definitely going on. And so we just have to be careful. But, there's a lot of things going on right now, right? This right here, right? Chicago, the Venezuela gangs taking over there. And, they had this big old giant protest thing going on. And I saw several videos of, they're out there shooting and just shooting guns in the air and just trying to like take over. And, I saw some postings of some of the Chicago gangs be like, man, we're not going to let these guys come over and just take over. So like, this is what they're doing. They're setting it up so that there's conflict, there's chaos, justifying their police state, surveillance, everything. So, this is what they want. They want to create chaos in our country. And this is why I call it an orchestrated invasion. So it's definitely happening. And, it's going on more and more. It's still going on, like at the border. I don't know if you guys watched the Sean Ryan show. I love Sean Ryan. You guys should definitely be watching his show. But he talks about the Chiquito village and the fact that they're building out these migrant policies.
They are taking over countries.
How long have you said you've been going down there?
I started immediately after Biden was installed. When Biden,
about I was 3 years.
Yep, I just left. It was about 3,000 a day, right?
3,000 what?
Aliens coming through per day. And that would be mostly Venezuelans, hundreds of Chinese per day, Afghans every day, just who's who in the zoo, 150 different countries. Tons of Arabs. NGOs have made water facilities there. They're building 2 new camps out, or actually 3. One is at Bajo Chiquito Village. There's another near Bajo Chiquito Village, which is going to, I don't know, be big enough for maybe 15,000 people per day, right? On a completely different river, the Rio Membrillo, that we call that the China route. They're building another new camp out there as well.
During the 3 years that you've been going
Oh,
down.
I would say at least 5 times bigger. It's more efficient. So when you come out of the jungle, you sign in, and a lot of people don't even have IDs. Nobody knows who they are. That's the people, as they make it through the Darien Gap, they get on buses. They go to 2 major camps after they get out. One's called Las Blancas, and the other one's called San Vicente. San Vicente is the one I call China Camp.
OIM, Red Cross, UNICEF, HIAS, European Union, Doctors Without Borders, UNHCR, and the Norwegian Refugee Council. All of these organizations,
right, are funding these migrants who are coming over. And this is part of their plans, part of the WEF's plan, part of the New World Order and the UN, right? Massive migration. They're importing all of these people into the Western world because they want to drive chaos. They want to import new voters because the people have woken up and they're not, voting in these, crazy leftist people anymore. So they need a new block of voters, and that's what's going on. So this is happening in the U.S., guys. This is definitely something we should be aware of. And, you see all the stuff, right? You see all the crime, right? The 2 Venezuelan gangsters participated in the violent takeover of apartment buildings in rural Colorado have been released on $1,000 bond, like nothing. And so now they can go out. Now they're free to go out and terrorize. And you're just seeing this over and over again. And like, this is where we need to be very, very hyper vigilant. We need to be aware of what's going on in our communities. And if you guys, as patriots or people who, actually care about safety and your families and protecting them, you guys should be doing everything you can to make sure you are prepared, right? Whether you are a, concealed carry person, open carry person, or just having some home protection. I saw a story where this woman, and I think I have it here. Let me see if I can, if I have this thing here. Give me 1 second. Yeah, this I saw. Here's a little bright brevity. People are posting all kinds of memes on here, right? That Trump still has one hope. He's gonna save the kittens and the ducks. I thought it was funny, man. X is hilarious, dude. You get all kinds of funny stuff. Oh yeah, AI is been great for the memes, man. It's hilarious. But oh yeah, look at this one. The zombie apocalypse. Save the cats from the zombies, bro. They're eating the zombies. No, but for real, there was this. I wanted to show you where this woman. Oh, here we go. This woman. Play the video.
He just didn't stop, so I fired a warning shot. I didn't even know that he got hit.
That's until police arrived on East 69th near Oglesby, where they found the 36-year-old suspect shot in the leg. He was taken to the hospital in fair condition. His life spared, but now armed with what the family hopes is a hard-learned lesson.
So the story behind this, though, is the fact that this guy breaks into her house, right, with her kids or whatever, and she shoots him, right? She has, the right to own this gun, and she's a concealed carry license holder. She shoots her, and then they take her guns away from her. So she did what she's supposed to do. She protected her family, that she has every single right to do, as constitutionally protected, right? You have the right to defend yourself. And then they take her guns, the only means that she has to protect herself, and they take it from her. It's like, how is she supposed to protect her family? So you guys got to be aware. You guys got to be vigilant and be prepared, because something like this could happen in your nice, safe neighborhoods. And I live in a very nice neighborhood. But this kind of stuff is now happening more and more. We're seeing more shootings. We're seeing more violence. So you just have to be aware of what's really going on. And, these people are taking over. I showed you guys these videos, right? She's talking about it. He's talking about it. And, what are you going to do? What are you going to do if all of a sudden, your community gets overrun by a bunch of migrants? And, what are you going to do? You're going to sit there, wait for the police? The police are sitting there denying that any of this stuff is going on. They're sitting there denying, no one's eating cats or whatever. But they got a video, a police body cam video, showing that this woman was eating a stinking cat. So the fact that these people are just allowing this stuff to happen just goes to show you the type of disrespect and the lack of care that they have for you, right? This is kind of graphic, right? But this is what they do. They sit there just taking cats and they're actually cooking them on their stoves. Like they had a whole bunch of Dominican people saying, hey man, these Haitians are eating cats, or eating, just house pets, going into yards and stealing the pets, stealing the dogs, stealing the cats. So man, you just have to understand that this is the kind of stuff that's actually going on. So you have to be aware of it, right? And a lot of people just have no idea how bad things really are. In Denver, like it's still happening. You got this guy right here talking about it, that, these people are coming in, and it's not just from Hispanic areas. Okay. And this is what the story is about right here. It's not just the Venezuelans, not just the Haitians, not just the Hondurans and the Salvadorians and the Guatemalans and people from, Latin America. No, they're coming from places that hate us, right? You have a bunch of the Chinese immigrants, which I have some stories I'm going to get into on another show about that. But when you heard the guy talking about in that video, man, they call it the China camp, one of them, because so many of the Chinese migrants have their path that they go. But right here, this guy's talking about Al-Qaeda. They arrested 50 Al-Qaeda members in the last 2 months. They've arrested over 50 in Denver. So you're talking about actual, like, terrorist militants, right, who hate America, who want to destroy us. They want to destroy our Western way of life, and they're being let in by Harris, right, as the border czar, by Biden, who's on vacation, and Sleepy Joe just out there. He is completely checked out of the presidential office, man. He is out there just chilling on the beach all day long. But this is the kind of stuff that's going on. You're talking about not just normal, Mexicans coming across. No, now it's Al-Qaeda members and, Hamas and whoever else, these people that hate us, okay, as well as the Chinese Communist Party people. You're talking about fit military age men, all fit. They look like they are legit soldiers being led into our country. And we're just letting it happen. So be prepared. Okay? Be vigilant. Stay prayed up. Get into the word of God. Be confident in yourself. Know that God's going to take care of you. But at the same time, be wise. Okay? You have to be wise as a serpent and gentle as a dove. So be wise. All right? Protect yourself. Protect your family. Have stores of food and water. And look, I'm not a prepper by any means, but I definitely, with recent developments of how things have been going the last few years, especially after the pandemic, you just have to prepare yourself. You have to be, I don't know. I got my stash of toilet paper, okay? Because people are crazy and they might do some stuff. But, water and non-perishable foods. Get you some freeze-dried, stuff that'll last, 20, 30 years or whatever, just in case. The last thing you want is to be caught off guard and be scrambling like everybody else, right? Get a generator. Get some solar panels and things like that in case you just need to charge your cell phone so you can keep track of what's going on and things like that. So, with how things are going, with the way the election's going, don't be surprised if they try to do something crazy to try to, cheat again and steal the election like they used the pandemic for. So just be aware of that kind of stuff. Don't leave it to chance. So that's what I had to say about that. I can't believe I just X'd out of another one. Okay. Next story. You guys know that right now you have X battling with Brazil, Alexander de Moraes, and trying to silence, X, and trying to silence Elon Musk and trying to get them to censor, their political dissidents and things like that. Well, you guys know that, he was going after even like gospel singers, right? So de Moraes' misconduct was illegal in order to censor Davi Sasser, a renowned Brazilian gospel singer. And of course, the order contained no reasons or required the censorship of such social media accounts within a mere 2 hours, in violation of Brazilian constitution. So it's one of the reasons why Elon Musk said, no, we're not going to do that. You're violating your own laws. And one thing I found really funny is that Lula had his Independence Day parade, and it was completely empty. And on the other side of town, you had this massive protest for freedom and for freedom of speech and Brazil's rights. And I thought it was hilarious that this guy thought he was going to come out and be like some Roman emperor and have a bunch of people cheering on for him, and it was completely empty. They cleared out all these different fields and stuff, and it went nowhere because everyone was over here. I thought that was hilarious. Okay. I thought that was super funny. I mean, you have very, very small amounts of people cheering them on or whatever. You got a bunch of lefty. I'm sure they all got paid to be there, probably. But just here's this Mr. Dictator over here. You guys know that the Brazil stole the election from Bolsonaro, right? So, anyways, this is the kind of stuff that's going on, and I just want you guys to be aware of it. And let's hope we don't see something like this in our country, where you have a bunch of dictators and authoritarians, tyrannical people wanting to destroy our American way of life, and you got people like Kamala Harris that just basically dismisses our Constitution and our rights and our free speech, and she wants to censor Americans. This is what they were doing throughout 2020, and throughout the pandemic and everything else, the plandemic as we call it. So just be aware of what's going on out there, and know that your rights are trying to be infringed upon. And I was reading something on X where they're basically saying that you don't have the right. It's a privilege to say whatever you want. And like, this is what they think. Okay. This is how they think. They think that the government is there to decide, to tell us what our rights are. But the Constitution was written very specifically in a very specific way that says you have these rights given to us, endowed to us by our Creator. These are inalienable rights. No one can take these things from you. They are yours. They are God-given. And the Constitution and the government is there to protect those rights, not to give them to you and assign them to you and take them away whenever they want, whenever you say things that they don't agree with. No, that's not the way it was set up. We have these fundamental rights, and it's the government's job to protect them, to assure us and guarantee us these rights so that no one could come in and just try to take them from us and shut us up. Right now, there are limitations, right? You can't go yell fire in a crowded theater, right? So that, people get hurt. But you can definitely criticize the government and criticize their policies and the bad things that they're doing. So when you see something like that that's going on in Brazil, where they're trying to shut up their people, and someone like Elon Musk is basically saying like, no, we're not going to violate your own laws and rules. We're going to stand up for freedom. We're going to stand up for the rights of the individuals. I think that's so amazing. And it's why a platform like this, like X, is so important, because it's the only thing that's really keeping people aware of what's actually going on, not just here in the US or in Brazil, but around the world, right? Everything that's going on in the UK and how they're going after people, going after their own citizens, allowing all of those migrants there, these Muslim migrants that are trying to take over. And you have cops in there, going after their own citizens, going up and arresting older people because they posted a British flag on X or Facebook or whatever. I mean, it's just amazing how fast things have shifted, how fast things have turned, and it's only going to get worse. Now, you guys know I said at the beginning, I'm going to be talking about, the Bible and what it says, and I'm definitely going to get into some stuff, prophetic things of what the Bible actually says is going to happen, right? We see it already happening, but this is the part that just should give us hope, right? We shouldn't despair, and we shouldn't be freaking out and be like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Like, no. It's not for us to be afraid. It's for us to be assured that what the Bible has spoken and what the Bible says is going to happen. Okay. It says there will be a one world government. Okay. There will be a one world currency. You will not be allowed to buy and sell unless you have some sort of mark or take some sort of shot or whatever it is, right? The WEF came out this week and basically admitted that the pandemic, right, COVID, was just a test run to see how far they could push in about when people with compliance, and make sure that they would just comply to whatever they said. Lock us down, lock us in our homes, shut down our businesses, tell us to shut up, put a mask on, and get this stupid shot. Well, some of us said, no, screw you, we're not doing that. And I think countries like ours, it was very sad to see, because we were all about freedom. I mean, and look, we have good hearts and we want to do the right thing. And I think initially we're all like, man, this thing could be bad. But then when we started to realize, like right into April and May and June, we're like, dude, this thing is not as deadly as they're saying. No, things aren't adding up. Some of us were like, no, we're not doing this. We're not going to take no experimental vaccine. I'm not going to pump myself full of some experimental DNA changing drug. And hopefully this next time when they try to do something, we're going to be able to stand up and say, no, we're not going to fall for this stuff anymore. Now you're going to have the sheep. Okay, the sheep are just going to go along with whatever the TV tells them. But the rest of us can stand up and say, no, we're not falling for you. No WEF, no World Economic Forum, no UN, no World Health Organization or unhealthy organization. We're not going to comply with you. You guys do not get to rule us. We are self-sovereign individuals. We are a self-sovereign country. We're not going to be, beholden to your world government ways. It's not going to happen. But the Bible does say, and the Bible teaches, that there's going to come a time when it would appear that Christians are going to be taken out from this place, right? And they're going to probably blame it on aliens or whatever. And we might talk about that some other time. But it does appear that there's going to be something that happens where the people that would stand up, the people that would challenge it, the people that would hold them back from going full totalitarian and communist and just completely, put their boot on the necks of people, this is going to happen. This is what the Bible teaches. So for us, it should just be like, okay, this is just a precursor. This is, as Jesus said, these are like labor pains, right? All this stuff is happening more and more frequently, like more, it's just more out there, right? People are seeing it more and more. So for us as believers, we should just take comfort in that and be like, man, all right, Lord, you're coming quickly, right? We should keep our eyes towards heaven and just be like, all right, God, come back quickly because it's getting pretty bad. People are over here killing our pets and eating them in the middle of the street. So, things are probably going to get worse before they get better. But I'm hopeful that, especially with this election, if we're able to come out victorious and freedom actually wins, then who knows, America really still could have one last final stand as the beacon of hope and freedom for the world. And, we could have a revival and we could see a lot more people come to faith, come to the saving knowledge of Jesus. And maybe there's one big last hurrah before the end, before the rapture. And, who knows? But for those of you who don't believe and be like, man, Angel, you're crazy. You just believe in fairy tales or whatever. You can choose to believe that. That's fine. But if you do find yourself one day, right, in the midst of some crazy totalitarian government, one world government with a one world currency, and all the Christian people that you knew just happen to disappear, remember this, okay? Just remember this one thing. Do not comply. Do not forfeit your rights, okay? Don't just go along with it because you're hungry and because you see people suffering. And if you have a choice and they say, hey, you need to renounce this Jesus and you need to worship this false god, this demon beast guy, whatever, it's this one world leader that everyone needs to all of a sudden, bow down to, or you need to take this mark, or you need to, take this shot, or otherwise you won't be able to buy anything, you won't be able to transact, and all your bank accounts will be frozen and you'll just be, basically ousted from society or killed. I hope that you stand up. I hope that you fight and say, no, I'm not going to comply. And if that means my life, then so be it. And as Patrick Henry said, right, give me freedom, give me liberty, or give me death. And that's kind of where I'm at this point. And I'm ready for whatever needs to happen. If they do cheat and if they do steal the election and they do try to turn us into a third world shithole, excuse my language, then they're going to be asking for another 1776 moment. And I, for one, am ready. So hopefully you are too. So that's it. That's what I got for today. Hopefully you guys have an amazing rest of your day. And we're going to try to do this more often. Again, this is Angel Abundance, the Hopeful Patriot on X. And this is the Watchman Hour. Hopefully you got a little bit of a warning today of what's actually happening. So make the change, be prepared, and save yourself. Take care, everybody. Peace out.